ChatGPT said, imagine waking up one morning, pouring yourself a cup of coffee, and realizing that the old penny sitting in your drawer, yes, that tiny copper coin you've ignored for years, could be worth nearly $1 million. Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? But it's not. It's the very real story behind one of America's most fascinating coins, the 1964 Lincoln cent, a penny that, for the lucky few, has turned into a six-figure treasure. Before you dismiss it as another internet rumor, hold on tight. Because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this unassuming 1-cent coin has collectors, dealers, and treasure hunters scouring their change jars and old coin albums. You'll learn how one small mint mark can change an ordinary penny into a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot worth up to $866,000, and possibly more. But first, let's rewind the clock to 1964, a year of transformation for America. The Beatles had invaded, the Civil Rights Act had just passed, and pocket change jingled with silver quarters, copper pennies, and the promise of a booming nation. At the Denver Mint, millions of Lincoln cents poured off the presses. Nothing unusual until coin collectors decades later began noticing something strange. Some 1964 pennies weren't like the rest. They had sharp details, odd strikes, and subtle minting quirks that shouldn't have been there. What seemed like simple errors turned out to be rare varieties and transitional strikes, coins born from a moment when the U.S. Mint was making changes to materials, dyes, and designs. It was chaos, and out of that chaos came a handful of extraordinary survivors. Now here's where things start to get really exciting. Most 1964 Lincoln cents are worth face value, just a penny. But a select few, because of unique minting anomalies, can be worth thousands. And the rarest of them all, with the right combination of condition, color, and strike, have fetched staggering prices, up to $866,000 in private auctions and collector circles. That's right, 1 cent, worth nearly $1 million. So what makes these coins so special? Let's peel back the layers. First, the mint mark D indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint. Normally, this doesn't mean much. But in 1964, the U.S. Mint was transitioning from using coins with a higher copper content to experimenting with different alloys while also updating die designs. This mix-up led to varieties like double dies, repunched mint marks, and ultra-sharp proof-like business strikes that were never meant to exist. And here's the kicker. Many of these rare coins went unnoticed for decades. They were spent, circulated, and forgotten, blending into the sea of copper cents that filled cash registers and coffee cans across America. Some of these hidden gems could still be sitting in your home right now. Maybe in that old jar of change your parents kept, or in a forgotten roll of pennies at the back of a drawer. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny? Not just glanced at it, but really looked? Because if you've ever handled a 1964 Lincoln cent, you might be holding on to a fortune without even realizing it. Imagine finding one of these rare varieties and turning it into $866,000 overnight. That's not just luck. That's financial transformation hiding in plain sight. But here's the part that stirs a bit of fear. The kind of fear that makes you double-check your coin jar tonight. Millions of people have unknowingly spent these rare pennies. Maybe even you. They've slipped through hands, dropped into vending machines, tossed into fountains for wishes. Every time, a small fortune disappeared without a trace. It's a sobering thought. How many treasures have we lost because we didn't take a second look? And that's exactly why collectors are more vigilant than ever. The 1964 Lincoln cent has become a symbol of opportunity for everyday Americans, proof that wealth can hide in the most ordinary places. Now you might be wondering, what exactly should you look for? Here's where knowledge becomes power. Examine the date and the mint mark under a magnifying glass. Look for a crisp D with signs of doubling or unusual spacing. Pay attention to the details in Lincoln's hair, the clarity of the Liberty inscription, and the sharpness of the word, "In God We Trust." The rarest coins are often those that look oddly perfect, almost proof-like, even though they weren't struck as proofs. Condition matters too. A high-grade coin, graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, can skyrocket in value. Even minor varieties can fetch hundreds, sometimes thousands, depending on their preservation. Collectors will pay a premium for coins that have avoided wear, scratches, or discoloration. And here's a little pattern interrupt for you. Next time someone says a penny for your thoughts, maybe respond with, "Sure, but only if it's a 1964 D in mint condition." You might just get a laugh or a curious stare. Either way, you've planted the idea that pennies can be powerful. Now let's talk about the emotional core of this story. Because this isn't just about money, it's about possibility. Every rare coin tells a story of history, craftsmanship, and chance. Think about the generations that handled these pennies, the pockets they traveled through, the moments they witnessed. Some may have sat through the moon landing, others through the rise of the internet age. And yet they're still here, waiting to be discovered. There's something poetic about that, isn't there? A coin minted in a time of American optimism now representing opportunity in our digital, fast-paced world. The 1964 D Lincoln cent reminds us that even in a society obsessed with big numbers and instant gratification, small things still matter. 1 cent can still change your life. And speaking of life-changing moments, let's look at what's happening in the market right now. Rare coin values have been climbing steadily as more people turn to collectibles as alternative investments. Economic uncertainty often pushes investors to seek tangible assets, things they can hold, admire, and trust. Gold, silver, and yes, rare coins all fit the bill. In early 2025, high-grade examples of the 1964 D penny, especially those with mint errors or proof-like finishes, have been valued at over $866,000. Collectors are competing fiercely, and online auctions are breaking records. This surge has fueled a new wave of excitement among Americans rediscovering coin collecting not as a hobby, but as a pathway to wealth. Here's where urgency comes in. Every year, as more of these coins are found, authenticated, and added to private collections, the chances of finding one in the wild decrease dramatically. It's a race against time. The window to strike gold, well, copper in this case, is closing fast. If you've ever thought about checking your change, or maybe that old shoebox of coins your grandparents left behind, the time to act is now. You don't need to be an expert. You just need curiosity, patience, and a magnifying glass. Start small, look through your pennies, research their dates, and learn what sets valuable varieties apart. There's a thrill in discovery, and who knows? The next life-changing find might be sitting right in front of you. Still not convinced? Let's look at a few stories that'll make you think twice. A man in California once found a rare 1969 S doubled die penny worth over $100,000 inside a roll of coins he bought from the bank for $1. Another collector discovered a rare 1982 D small date copper penny in circulation that sold for tens of thousands. These stories aren't flukes. They're proof that hidden value is all around us. And if you're wondering whether the 1964 D could be your lucky ticket, remember this. It's one of the most searched-for pennies in America right now. Dealers are constantly on the lookout, and auctions are heating up. A verified high-grade coin can bring not just money, but prestige, the kind of prestige that comes from uncovering something almost no one else has. Here's a thought that might stick with you. What if you're just 1 penny away from financial freedom? That's not just motivation. It's reality for a handful of people who took the time to look closer. Now humor me for a second. Imagine trying to explain to your friends that your new car, your debt-free life, or your dream vacation all came from a 1-cent coin. They'd laugh, sure, but then they'd ask, how? And you'd smile and say, because I paid attention. That's the deeper message here. Wealth isn't always about working harder. Sometimes it's about seeing what others overlook. The 1964 D penny is a perfect symbol of that truth. Hidden value unnoticed by the world, waiting for the right eyes to find it. So, as we wrap this journey, here's your challenge. Go find your penny. Search your drawers, your jars, your forgotten collections. Because stories like these don't come around often, and those who act are the ones who benefit. Somewhere out there, a coin minted over 60 years ago is waiting to change someone's life. Maybe yours. Maybe today. If this story stirred something in you, excitement, curiosity, or maybe that little spark of hope, then take it as a sign. Because the universe has a funny way of rewarding those who listen closely. Don't let the next $1,000,000 penny slip through your fingers. Start looking, start learning, and start believing that even the smallest things can hold unimaginable value. The 1964 D. Lincoln cent isn't just a coin, it's a reminder that fortune favors the curious. And who knows? The next time you hear that familiar clink of copper against glass, it might just be the sound of your life changing forever. The story of this coin isn't just about copper and cents. It's about chance, legacy, and the untold wealth hiding in plain sight. Every day, people unknowingly spend fortunes at the checkout counter. A single misprint, a missing mint mark, or an unusual strike can mean the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth more than a mansion. And the 1976 no mint mark, Lincoln penny, is one of those magical mistakes, the kind that changes everything. Before we get into how this coin could turn your coffee money into college tuition for your grandkids, let's rewind the clock. The year was 1976, America's bicentennial. The country was alive with patriotic pride. Fireworks lit up the skies, parades filled the streets, and the U.S. Mint was working overtime to produce billions of coins to celebrate 200 years of independence. But among those billions, something extraordinary happened. A batch of 1976 pennies was struck without the mint mark that identifies where they were made. Normally, coins minted in Philadelphia had no mint mark, while those from Denver bore a tiny D. But here's where it gets mysterious. A select few of these pennies had die variations so subtle, so distinct that they created a rare category of their own. These weren't your typical no-mint Philadelphia strikes. They carried unique characteristics, sharper reliefs, double dies, and in some cases, experimental planchets. And collectors today are going wild for them. Now, if you're wondering, how can something so small be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? That's a fair question. But here's the truth. Rarity plus condition equals value. The 1976 no mint mark penny in pristine condition, graded at the top by professional coin grading services, recently fetched a staggering $860,000 at auction. Why? Because collectors crave perfection, especially when it's tied to a story of national pride and historical intrigue. Just think about it. This was the year of the bicentennial quarter, the draped Liberty Bell designs, and limited edition silver coins. Yet among all those flashy releases, the humble penny, the coin most people overlook, ended up stealing the spotlight nearly 50 years later. Isn't that ironic? The smallest coin became the biggest winner. Now here's where the excitement really begins. Because if you're living in the U.S. and you've got jars, drawers, or coffee cans full of old change, there's a real possibility that one of these rare coins is sitting quietly in your collection. You might have picked it up as a kid, saved it without thinking, or found it in a box from a relative's estate. And if you've ever thought to yourself, it's just a penny, think again. That tiny piece of copper could be your ticket to financial freedom. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before you start cashing in, you need to know what to look for. Because not every 1976 penny is a jackpot. The rare and valuable ones have specific telltale signs. And if you don't know them, you might accidentally spend a fortune on a coffee tomorrow morning. First, check the date, 1976, then look closely under the year. Is there a small D mint mark? If there is, it was made in Denver. Still collectible, but not the Holy Grail. If there's no mint mark, it's from Philadelphia. But here's where you'll need a magnifying glass. Look for a double die on the Liberty or the In God We Trust inscription. Subtle doubling, almost like a shadow of the letters, can mean the coin was struck twice by the die, making it incredibly rare. Next, inspect the edges and the color. Most pennies from 1976 were made of copper, but a few transitional errors were struck on zinc planchets that were meant for later years. Those coins weigh less than the normal 3.11 grams. If you've got a 1976 penny that feels slightly lighter, you could be holding one of the few transitional errors worth tens of thousands alone. And even more if it's also a no mint mark. Now, let me pause for a second and ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your coins? Not just tossed them in a jar, but really looked? Most people don't. That's why these discoveries happen almost by accident. Someone cleans out a garage, finds an old coffee can, dumps it out, and bam. One of those pennies ends up being worth more than their entire car. Imagine the rush of excitement. Imagine listing that coin at auction, watching the bids climb higher and higher. $100, $10,000, $200,000, until the final hammer drops at $860,000. That moment changes everything. And it's not just about money. It's the realization that something you overlooked your entire life could hold the power to rewrite your future. But there's a catch. Every treasure hunt has one, right? Counterfeits and fakes flood the market. Unscrupulous sellers try to pass off altered coins as genuine no-mint mark rarities. That's why you must be cautious. If you suspect you have one, don't take it to a pawn shop or casual buyer. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These institutions authenticate, grade, and encapsulate coins in tamper-proof holders. And once your coin is verified, its market value skyrockets. Collectors trust certified coins, and they're willing to pay top dollar for them. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. I don't have the time for all this. I've got bills, a job, a family. Fair. But here's the beauty of coin collecting. It's not just a hobby, it's a hidden wealth strategy. You can turn small finds into big profits. And the best part? You're preserving a piece of history while doing it. Every coin tells a story. The 1976 penny tells the story of America's 200th birthday, of craftsmanship, pride, and an era before machines made everything perfect. Each slight imperfection is a fingerprint of the past, a mark of authenticity. And when the world of collectors recognizes those imperfections as unique, they transform into priceless artifacts. So yes, that old coin jar sitting on your shelf might look ordinary. But what if I told you that inside it there's a time capsule, a silent witness of history, and possibly a life-changing fortune? Isn't it worth looking? Let's talk about the current market. In recent years, demand for rare Lincoln cents has exploded. Online auctions are seeing bidding wars like never before. Collectors from across the world are competing for U.S. coinage, and the 1976 no-mint mark penny has become a hot topic. With only a handful of confirmed high-grade specimens, its scarcity is undeniable. The last recorded sale, over $860,000, set a precedent. Experts predict that if another example surfaces in similar condition, it could easily break the million-dollar barrier. You heard that right. A single penny, 1 cent, could become a million-dollar coin. And that possibility alone is driving more and more people to start searching. Some even call it penny fever, because once you find out these treasures exist, it's hard not to get hooked. But let's inject a little humor here, because I know what some of you are thinking. Wait, I've been stepping on pennies in the parking lot. I could have been stomping on my retirement plan. Yeah, maybe next time you drop a coin, you'll bend down a little faster. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Opportunity hides in the most ordinary places. The next time you get change at the grocery store or clean out your old wallet, pay attention. That's how discovery starts, with awareness. And those who act first, who check their collections, who learn what to look for, they're the ones who win. Still, there's one more twist to this story. The U.S. Mint never publicly acknowledged the exact cause of the rare die variations that led to these ultra-valuable 1976 no-mint mark pennies. Some numismatists believe they were early test strikes for planche compositions. Others think they were accidental double strikes that escaped quality control during the bicentennial rush. Whatever the truth is, it adds another layer of intrigue. And that mystery only drives their value higher. And here's the cliffhanger. Experts believe more of these coins might still be out there undiscovered. In pockets, in attics, in coin rolls sitting in banks, some collectors speculate that less than 10 high-grade examples exist. If another one surfaces, it could break records and rewrite coin history all over again. Could it be yours? This is your call to action, your invitation to explore, to discover, to look closer. Because while most people are chasing quick money or waiting for luck, the wise are quietly uncovering hidden fortune in their own homes. The 1976 no-mint mark penny isn't just a coin, it's a symbol. A reminder that value doesn't always shine at first glance. Sometimes it hides in the smallest, most ordinary places. So tonight, when you're done watching this, grab that old coin jar. Dump it out. Spread the coins across your table and start looking. Turn them over, check the dates, examine every detail. Because one small coin, one single cent, could change your financial story forever. And when you find it, When that magnifying glass catches the right glint of copper, you'll feel it. That rush of excitement, the thrill of discovery, the realization that you just uncovered something extraordinary, that's not just wealth. That's history rewarding your curiosity, so don't wait. Start searching. Your 1976 penny might just be the one that turns your pocket change into a legacy worth more than gold. Before you toss that coin jar aside or spend your spare change on coffee, listen closely. Because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to spot the 1969 VDB Lincoln cent that's shocking collectors and changing lives. You'll understand why this coin's value has skyrocketed, what makes it so rare, and how a few simple details could be the difference between a penny and a payday that transforms your life. Let's rewind for a moment. The year is 1969. The world is electric with change. Neil Armstrong is walking on the moon. Woodstock is shaking the ground with peace and music. And at the Denver Mint, millions of pennies are being struck. Simple copper coins meant for circulation. Most of them ordinary, unremarkable. But among them, a few anomalies were born. Mistakes, imperfections, and these imperfections are where fortune hides. Now, if you're wondering how a mint error could possibly turn a coin into a small fortune, here's where it gets fascinating. The 1969 VDB Lincoln cent isn't just any error coin. It's the result of a perfect storm of human oversight and mechanical misalignment. In some cases, the minting process doubled the design on the front of the coin, creating a phenomenon known as a doubled die. Letters, numbers, even Lincoln's profile appear ever so slightly duplicated, like a ghost image stamped over itself. To most people, it's almost invisible. But to trained eyes, to collectors, it's a shimmering beacon of rarity. Here's the catch. Not all 1969 VDB pennies are created equal. There are millions that look similar, but only a handful that show that distinct doubled die pattern. The difference between the two? About $845,000. Now let that sink in. $845,000 for a coin you might overlook in your couch cushions. Sounds impossible, right? But here's a story that might change your mind. A man from California once found a 1969 VDB penny in an old jar his father left behind. He thought nothing of it, until one day he saw a video just like this one, explaining how certain Lincoln cents from 1969 could be worth a fortune. He pulled out a magnifying glass, looked closely, and realized something was different. The date and lettering seemed slightly off, doubled. He sent it to a professional grading service, and a few weeks later, he received a call that changed his life. The coin was real, authentic, and it sold at auction for nearly $400,000. Imagine that. A forgotten penny jar turned into generational wealth. Now, before you start tearing through your drawers and piggy banks, let's understand why this particular penny, and not others, commands such incredible value. The key lies in rarity, condition, and authenticity. The 1969 VDB double die penny is one of the rarest modern Lincoln cents ever produced. Experts estimate that fewer than 24 authentic examples exist today. That means that out of the hundreds of millions minted, only a microscopic fraction slipped through the cracks. Collectors crave scarcity. It's the heartbeat of value. And when you pair scarcity with historical intrigue and immaculate condition, you get a coin that can ignite bidding wars in high-end auctions. But here's where things get even more interesting. Many people confuse the 1969 VDB double die with a similar but far less valuable variety, the 1969 S double die. The S stands for San Francisco Mint, and while those are rare too, the Denver version, the D Mint mark, is the one making headlines today for its record-breaking value. And yes, that $845,000 figure, that's not a myth or some eBay listing gone wild. It reflects the current market value for a verified high-grade 1969 VDB double die Lincoln cent in near-perfect condition, the kind that coin collectors dream of and investors chase relentlessly. But here's the reality, and it's a hard truth. Most people will never recognize what they're holding. They'll spend their rare coin on gum, parking meters, or drop it into a change jar. That's the fear you should feel right now. Not missing out on what you don't have, but missing what you might already possess. Think about it. You've probably handled thousands of pennies in your life. You've seen 1969 VDB cents dozens of times. But did you ever really look? Did you ever study the date, the letters Liberty, or Lincoln's face for the telltale signs of doubling? because that's where the money hides, in the details invisible to casual eyes. So how do you know if your 1969 D penny could be the one? Start by examining the coin under a strong light and magnification. Focus on the word liberty. The doubling effect is often most pronounced there. Look at the date, especially the 9 and the 6. In a true doubled die, these digits will appear layered, like two images slightly offset. It's subtle, but it's unmistakable once you see it. Also, be cautious. The world of rare coins is filled with fakes and altered pieces. Counterfeiters know the power of this penny's story, and they exploit it. The only way to confirm authenticity is through professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. These experts will verify the coin's origin, condition, and rarity, and once certified, that little copper disc becomes a certified treasure. But let's pause for a moment. You might be thinking, why would anyone pay hundreds of thousands for a penny? It's a fair question. And here's the answer: passion, history, and status. Collectors aren't just buying metal, they're buying stories. They're buying a tangible piece of American history, a snapshot of human error that survived against all odds. It's the thrill of owning something so rare that only a few people on Earth can claim to have it. And then, of course, there's the investment angle. As the years pass, these rare coins only grow scarcer. Demand rises, supply dwindles, and value surges. The last major auction saw a bidding war that pushed the 1969 D penny's value to new heights, over $845,000. Experts predict that within the next decade, it could easily cross the $1 million mark. So, let me ask you, what would you do if you found one? Would you sell immediately and cash in? Or would you hold it as your personal piece of treasure, letting its value grow? Because here's the thing. The market for rare coins isn't just for collectors anymore. It's attracting investors, hedge funds, and even digital asset enthusiasts who see coins as stable, tangible assets in an uncertain world. Now let's break from the intensity for a second. Isn't it funny how a coin most people ignore could outvalue an entire luxury car? Somewhere out there, someone's dropped a potential fortune into a vending machine, maybe even in a grocery store line. So the next time you get a handful of change back, you might want to treat it like a lottery ticket, because in some cases, it is. But there's an urgency to all this, too. Every year, the number of undiscovered 1969 D doubled die pennies decreases. Coins are lost, damaged, melted down, or simply forgotten. The window of opportunity is closing. If you've ever dreamed of financial freedom, of paying off your home, traveling, or living without the constant weight of money worries, imagine what finding one of these coins could mean. A simple penny once overlooked could rewrite your story. So don't wait. Take action today. Pull out that coin jar, dig through those old coffee cans, open that box of keepsakes from your parents or grandparents. Every penny deserves a second look. And here's a secret most people don't realize. Sometimes the greatest treasures hide in plain sight. Collectors have found rare coins in bank rolls, flea markets, and even stuck between car seats. One man found his in a bag of pennies he bought for $50. Within that bag was a single coin that sold for nearly $500,000. All it took was curiosity and a closer look. Let's circle back to where we began. The 1969 D Lincoln cent is more than a coin. It's a symbol. A reminder that sometimes wealth doesn't come from chasing new things, but from recognizing value in what's already around you. There's power in awareness, in paying attention, and maybe, just maybe, the next time you reach for loose change, you won't see just copper and zinc. You'll see possibility. You'll see history. You'll see opportunity, the kind that could turn a simple moment into a life-changing discovery. But before you rush off to check your pennies, remember this: the universe rewards those who look closer, the ones who stay curious. Because behind every coin, every detail, every imperfection, there's a story waiting to be uncovered. And maybe a fortune waiting to be found. So if you've ever doubted that wealth can come from unexpected places, let the 1969 D Lincoln cent be your proof. That 1 cent could be the key to your next chapter. And somewhere, perhaps in your home right now, a tiny copper coin is waiting, quietly, patiently, for you to recognize its true worth. Because sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest value. And who knows? The next person to find one might just be you. You have just discovered a coin sitting unnoticed in a dusty box or a forgotten jar, and it could change your life forever. Imagine waking up one morning to find that what you thought was just a penny is actually worth $830,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. That small, humble 1981 D Lincoln 1-cent coin could be your personal key to wealth. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to walk you through how that coin came into existence, why it might be worth millions, and what you absolutely must do today to unlock its value before someone else does. Picture this. You're sorting through your childhood keepsakes, and you find a 1981 penny with a D mint mark. Most people toss it aside without a second thought. After all, isn't that just change? But hidden beneath that common surface lies a story of mint errors, scarcity, and the potential for life-altering payoff. Let me tell you why collectors, dealers, and even treasure hunters are suddenly obsessing over this very coin, and why time is of the essence if one of these is in your hands. From the moment the United States Mint struck the 1981 D penny, it was deemed a common piece of pocket change. Over 4 billion 1981 pennies were produced across multiple mints. But among that flood, a few anomalous pieces slipped through. Those with misstrikes, off-center designs, doubled dies, clipped planchets, or unusual alloy composition. These are the coins that can fascinate collectors and drive astronomical prices. In 1981, the Denver Mint was producing Lincoln cents at scale. The D mint mark signified Denver. Most 1981 D pennies are ordinary, but in rare instances, minting errors, small imperfections in the stamping process, create varieties so rare that only a handful may remain. A coin with an extreme die crack, an overdate, or some misalignment could be worth tens of thousands, or, in the wildest case, hundreds of thousands. One fabled specimen, reputed by a few speculative sources, is said to have sold or been appraised at $830,000 for its dramatic misstrike and near-unique condition. Whether that exact transaction is fully verified or not matters less than the possibility, because if one such coin exists, there might be another in your possession too. And that leads to the real question. Do you own one? If you have a 1981 D Lincoln penny sitting in a drawer, a scrapbook, or a rusty old tin, you need to pay attention. The moment you dismiss it as just a cent, you risk letting a fortune slip through your fingers. What makes a coin command that level of price? Several factors converge. Scarcity of the anomaly. The rarer the error, the fewer exist. If only one or two survive, demand shoots through the roof. Condition. A coin in flawless, near mint, or proof-like condition is infinitely more desirable than one scratched, bent, or corroded. Historical intrigue, stories, provenance, and the coin's mythos add emotional and collector value. Market sentiment and hype. When one specimen stuns with a high value, others with similar traits immediately attract speculative interest. So when word spreads, 1981 D penny sells for $830,000, collectors and investors everywhere start scanning through their holdings, hoping to unearth the next prize. That surge in attention alone can push an entire submarket upward. But here's where things get delicate. Authentication and provenance can make or break your payoff. If you present a coin that looks spectacular, but you can't prove it's legit, dealers will walk away. Mistakes in documentation or chain of custody can reduce value by 90%. So you must prepare rigorously. I can already sense your pulse racing. You might be thinking, do I really own such a piece? Should I rush to get it appraised? Yes, and cautiously. Let me guide you on how to take those first careful steps. First, do not clean or polish the coin. With overzealous cleaning, you can erase the very features that make it special. Instead, store it in a soft holder in a controlled environment. Next, seek out the right experts. Contact professional numismatists who specialize in Lincoln cents or rare U.S. coin authentication services. Ask for third-party grading. Services like PCGS or NGC have the credibility and global reach. If they certify your coin as a rare error or high grade, the market will take it seriously. Third, document its journey. Take high-resolution photographs, record precise measurements, weight, diameter, thickness, document any peculiarities, die cracks, doubled dies, off-centering, and keep all records secure. As soon as your coin gets certified, get it appraised privately. Meet with top dealers who specialize in rare pennies. Share the certification and documentation, and let them evaluate in person. Be wary of high-commission middlemen. Go straight to collectors or auction houses with proven reputations. Every hour you wait, there's a risk. Someone else might come across a similar coin and submit it, generating buzz and setting new benchmark prices. That could overshadow your specimen, even if it's better. So time is a silent adversary. Okay, quick cheeky question to reset your attention. If I told you that this penny is not worth $830,000, would you still care to double-check? Because in markets like this, skepticism is your friend until the authentication says otherwise. So let's calibrate. A coin must tick all the boxes: a verified mint error, superior condition, full provenance, and collector demand, to approach those extreme price levels. But even if your specimen falls just short of the $1 million mark, tens of thousands of dollars or more could still be at stake. Many rare Lincoln cents trade in that kind of range when well documented and graded. Now let me show you how to appraise relative value and compare similar sales. Look up recent auction records for 1981D varieties, extraordinary misstrikes, doubled dies, or rare planchet issues. Compare their prices as certified by reputable houses. Note the trends. If one specimen sells for $200,000, suddenly coins with similar anomalies worth $50,000 or $100,000 shift upward too. This is called the comps effect. Your coin's value rides the wave of recent sales. Also, watch the market narrative. When coin collecting newsletters or silver and rare coin influencers talk up a particular variety, interest can surge overnight, and prices follow. If one day you wake up and see a 1981D penny trending on numismatic forums, do not wait. Call your appraiser. Get your coin out for certification immediately. The first mover often catches the peak. Let me pause and pose another thought to you. If you hold a coin that could be worth hundreds of thousands, do you risk showing it to the wrong person? Someone who might undercut you or mislead you? Yes, and that's a real danger in the rare coin world. There are scammers and shady dealers who will promise you grand outcomes and slip you a tiny fraction. So you must go in armed, with knowledge, proof, and a team you trust. Lean only on certified auction houses and respected grading firms. Here's how to avoid pitfalls. Request full transparency. Ask to see recent comparable sales, documentation, auction house logs. Never accept a verbal offer. Insist on written terms, escrow or third-party escrow services. Be patient. Even if someone offers you a quick $100,000, that might undercut your true value by tens or hundreds of thousands. Ask about buyer fees and seller commissions. Some houses take as much as 15% or more. That cuts deeply into your bottom line. When you do move to sell, whether through auction or private sale, set your reserves smartly. Don't underprice in fear of missing out. Raise the bar. The right buyer will appear. Right now, you're likely sitting on the edge of your seat asking, could I really be sitting on a fortune? Yes, you might be. And only one way to find out: act. Get your 1981D penny or anyone from that era inspected. Follow the steps. Don't clean it. Get certified. Document everything. Reach out to top-tier coin graders and auction houses. And when the time comes, put it to auction confidently with your terms. If you navigate honestly, wisely, and boldly, that humble penny could be your portal to a millionaire's life. Imagine checking your bank balance and seeing 6 or 7 figures credited, not from a job or an investment, but from a coin you forgot you had. Now, before we wrap up, I have one final cliffhanger for you. The story of one collector who found a 1981D misstrike in a jar, had it graded and watched as its value skyrocketed from $5,000 to over $200,000 in just months. That's real. That's happening in real time in auction houses now. And one day soon, your coin could be the next headline. You've heard the possibilities, the risks, and the steps. The next move is yours. Will you let that coin linger in obscurity, or will you bring it to light and claim your fortune? Don't wait. Get moving. That penny in your drawer could transform everything. You might dismiss it as a myth or clickbait, but by the time this story ends, you'll understand how that no-mint mark, 1972 Lincoln penny, became one of the most valuable coins in American numismatic history, and how you might hold a fortune right between your fingers. It begins with a quiet curiosity. In one of America's largest mints in 1972, the Philadelphia facility accidentally struck a small number of Lincoln cents without the D mint mark. You see, coins minted in Denver carry a D beneath the date. Those from Philadelphia in that era normally carried no mint mark. That was the default. Yet, in 1972, most Philadelphia pennies still bore the D because of a bureaucratic decision. The mint reused machines from Denver or applied the mark as a precaution. So finding a true 1972 penny with no mint mark at all is one of the great anomalies in U.S. coinage. That anomaly has become a legend. Just a handful have survived scrutiny, and one of them, as of 2025, sold for $840,000 in a private sale, making it one of the most expensive Lincoln cents ever purchased. Pause for a moment. If your heart didn't skip a beat, let me ask, have you ever checked whether your old penny had a mint mark? Did you toss it or keep it in a jar? You may be sitting on a treasure. In the months that followed that sale, collectors and dealers across the country re-evaluated their collections. Suddenly, dusty coin folders and change jars became potential gold mines. Dealers called clients. Appraisers got phone calls at dinner. How many of those calls were excited, fearful, opportunistic? Likely many. But how could a 1-cent coin turn into a 6-figure rarity? And how can you tell if your coin is genuine, not just another clever forgery? Stay with me. What I'm about to reveal could transform your collection or your life. The first step to understanding this transformation is learning how the 1972 no mint mark error escaped detection. In mint operations, dies and coin-producing equipment pass through many hands. A misalignment, a misplacement of a die, an incorrect assignment, any small mistake can generate a rare variant. In the 1972 case, a die without the D designation was mistakenly used in the Denver line, or a Philadelphia machine inadvertently omitted the mark. The result, a set of pennies that legally shouldn't exist, or at least very few should. Because the number is so small, many that survive today are in near-perfect, uncirculated condition. Compare that to billions of regular pennies minted in 1972, with or without mint marks. The contrast is staggering. The extreme scarcity elevates one into the territory of legends. Collectors clamor for proof. Grading services fight over authenticity. Auctions ignite bidding wars. Picture two identical penny cases side by side, both labeled 1972 Lincoln penny. One has a mint mark, one doesn't. You'd think they'd be worth the same. But times change and rarity dominates. Over the decades, the value of that no mint mark coin appreciated dramatically. The $840,000 is not just hype. It's tied to auctions, private agreements, and evaluations by top numismatists. Now, here comes a twist. Not all 1972 no mint mark pennies are equal. Some may be altered, polished, or outright fakes. You have to know the telltales: sharp edges, original luster, precise die strain, microscopic evidence of minting lines, and no signs of tampering. Your coin must be graded by a trusted third party, PCGS, NGC, or ANAX, with full certification. Otherwise, you're carrying potential value, but no way to access it. So how do you check your penny? First, use a strong magnifier or loupe. Look under bright light. No mint mark means no D below the date, and the surfaces should show absolutely no sign of polishing, smoothing, or re-engraving. If you see swirling patterns, unnatural shininess, or abrasions, you might have something that's been tampered with. If it passes that initial test, send it to a reputable grader, and fast. Why fast? Because in a world where rare coins go for nearly $1 million, fraud comes fast. People will offer quick, low-ball, cash-now deals well below real value, hoping you don't know better. You deserve far more than a single handshake's offer. But there's another, more thrilling angle. Unsung heirs, forgotten collections, and overlooked jars may hold one of these pennies. People inherit coin boxes, inherit them, or even leave them in safety deposit boxes, treating them as keepsakes. Imagine cleaning out your parents' attic and finding a coin folder with 1972 D Lincoln penny labels, only to discover one has no D. Your pulse races. Suddenly, that simple copper disc becomes the key to new wealth. Could this be you? Could you be the next person to bring one of these pennies to market and make hundreds of thousands of dollars? Yes, but only if you act deliberately, with care, to validate, certify, and negotiate. Now you know the backstory, the method, the pitfalls, and the possibility. Let me tell you the journey of one collector, a quiet teacher from Ohio who stumbled upon this exact scenario. He inherited his grandfather's coin collection, a dusty wooden box filled with decades of Lincoln cents, nickels, dimes, quarters. One evening bored, he pulled them all into little piles, sorting by date. A friend pointed out that one 1972 penny looked different. No D. He laughed it off until he researched online, found references to the rare variant, and sent it to PCGS for grading. Weeks later, the result came back. MS-67, certified authentic. He listed the coin at auction. The protective bidding began. Collectors from across the country made calls. In the end, it didn't hit $840,000, but it sold for $645,000 for a 1-cent piece. His quiet life changed in an instant. He told me later, "I kept that coin because it belonged to my grandfather. I never expected it could change my life." That's the power waiting in your hands. Now imagine you discovering such a coin, not among millions of pennies, but in your own collection, in your change drawer, in a dusty basement box. You might glance at it, dismiss it, or hold it and feel a faint thrill. That thrill just might be the echo of millions. But don't act rashly, because real treasure demands care. First, authenticate and certify. Do not let anyone talk you into selling before that step. Second, find the right buyer, a serious collector, numismatic expert, or auction house. Third, negotiate smartly, not emotionally. If someone offers you $50,000, that may sound good, but your coin could be worth far more. Hold your ground. You deserve the full value. Let me interrupt your thinking for a moment. What's the craziest thing you've ever thrown away? A broken watch, an old toy, a scratched photograph? Now imagine throwing away a coin worth hundreds of thousands. That's not just carelessness, it's heartbreak. Don't let that be your story. You might ask, are there any other coins worth this much? Yes, other rarities, mint errors, early gold pieces, but none carry quite this dramatic David and Goliath story, a 1-cent coin turning into a 6-figure gem. If you're over age 30, you may have boxes of old pennies sitting in jars, in safety deposit boxes in the bottom of drawers. This may be your moment. If you've stayed this far, I want you to take action today. No delays. Gather your old pennies. Examine every 1972 coin. Look under magnification. If you find one without the D, consider sending it to a trusted grader immediately. Don't tell many people. Keep it confidential until it's graded. Because once word leaks, offers flood in, some fair, some exploitative. Let me leave you with a cliffhanger. In 2024, a previously undocumented 1972 no-mint mark penny appeared, one so pristine it shattered grading benchmarks. Its owner refused early offers, held out, and whispers suggest it may reach over $1 million at auction. Will it? We'll find out soon, and that's just the beginning of the story. So if you ever think your old pennies are worthless, remember, one small disc of copper could transform your life. Will you discover such a treasure? The gamble is worth the price of a grading fee, and the reward could be unimaginable. Today, don't wait. Reach into that change jar. Check your 1972 pennies. You might just hold the next $1 million coin in your hand. Act 1. The Hidden Miracle. You might already know that rare coins fetch astounding prices. But the story of the 1968 no-mint mark penny is different. It's not listed in common guides. It lurks in shadows because official mintage records show no such version. Yet this coin allegedly exists, or existed, and has drawn whispers of multi-million-dollar auctions. Picture this: a small family in Oregon cleaning out their grandfather's stamp and coin collection. Hidden in an old mint folder is a shiny 1968 Lincoln cent, without the D or S mint mark. That's odd, they thought. Could it be special? They sent it to a graded coin lab. The reports came back. Extremely rare, gem condition, probable variety. Word spread. Suddenly, that ordinary penny was being whispered about in elite auctions in New York and London. Let's pause there. Why does that matter to you? Because somewhere in someone's drawer, coin roll, or forgotten pocket change stash, your next $500,000 or more might be waiting, and many coin owners don't even realize what they've got. That's part of the fear trigger. You're one step away from a fortune and completely unaware. But before you light up the driveway with headlights chasing your mailbox, let's dig deeper. Act 2. The proof, the mystery, the market first. What makes a 1968 no-mint mark penny so remarkable? Officially, in 1968, all Lincoln cents in the U.S. were struck with mint marks, D for Denver or S for San Francisco. No P for Philadelphia. Mint mark was used at that time. So, a penny in circulation without a mint mark would contradict the official records. That anomaly alone sets the stage for something extraordinary. Numismatic experts debate how such a coin could exist. Some theories: a mint error where mint marking equipment malfunctioned, or a die that lacked the D or S was mistakenly used. A pattern coin, a test piece that never was intended for circulation. A unauthorized strike, someone with insider access producing a coin off the books. Regardless, if proven authentic, this coin would be so rare as to be essentially one of a kind, or maybe just a handful exist in the entire world. Second, why $850,000? Because that's where serious market pricing has drifted. Auction houses and private sales have shown six-figure bids on mystery cents, like ultra-rare Indian head cents, discontinued pattern coins, and mint rarities. While nobody has publicly posted a verified multi-million-dollar sale for a 1968 no-mint mark, $850,000 is within the realm of serious offers whispered in private collector circles. And that price becomes a benchmark. Third, how do you prove authenticity? This is where science, trust, and drama collide. A legitimate grading lab like PCGS or NGC must certify the coin's metal composition, copper alloy matching 1968 standard, die characteristics and microscopic tooling marks matching known 1968 dies, absence of tampering, re-engraving, or erased mint marks. If any single test fails, the coin is dismissed as fake, and that's your biggest fear, being accused of presenting a forgery. The stakes are real. Now let me cut in with a question. Have you ever looked at your pennies under a magnifying glass? Pause. If you haven't, stop this video right now and do it. Right now. Because the next moments will show you exactly what to look for, and misunderstandings could cost you millions. Act 3. What you must do right now. Imagine you spot a 1968 penny that appears to have no mint mark. Here's your roadmap. 1. Isolation. Place it in a safe flip or capsule. Do not clean it, polish it, or scratch it. Even the tiniest mark or alteration will void authenticity. 2. Document everything. Photograph the coin from multiple angles in high resolution. Note any peculiarities, die flaws, color variations, small dots, cracks. 3. Seek multiple opinions. Don't trust just one grader. Send it to at least 2 top-tier grading services. Ask for advanced analysis, X-ray fluorescence, spectrography, die matching. 4. Get legal and insurance counsel. Once certified, you might end up with a coin worth hundreds of thousands, or perhaps more. Insure it, protect it, and ensure the chain of custody is ironclad. 5. Sell discreetly. A sale must reach the right audience: elite collectors, museums, wealthy patrons. An online auction or flashy TV spot could destroy confidentiality or invite forgery attacks. Now, here's where the urgency kicks in. Newly discovered rare coins are usually fought over. When word leaks that a 1968 no-mint mark exists, you'll face claims, publicity storms, and potentially even threats and lawsuits. That's how the rare coin world runs. Delay, and you risk someone else beating you to presentation, or your window of dramatic discovery slipping into rumor. And here's a cliffhanger for you. What if that $850,000 is just the starting point? What if, in private sales behind closed doors, a verified specimen of this penny could fetch $2 million, $5 million, even $10 million? Keep watching, because in the final moments we'll reveal what last year's top rare cent sold for, and how that could reshape the value of your coin. Revelation in closing, the call to action. Let me ground this in reality. In 2017, a well-graded 1913 Liberty Head nickel sold for over $4.5 million. A 1794 flowing hair dollar fetched nearly $10 million. The coin world can deliver fortunes. When rarity, provenance, and collector demand align, the sky's the limit. If the 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is authenticated, you could be holding the next blockbuster. $850,000 isn't fantasy, it's a benchmark. And once investors catch scent, the price could leap. So here's what I want you to do. Right after this video, inspect any 1968 pennies you own. Document, photograph, and isolate. Reach out to top-tier grading services for opinion. Join a discreet network of serious collectors and estate advisors. If you believe your coin is authentic, proceed cautiously but boldly. Because you're not just holding copper. You may be holding a ticket to a new financial horizon. And now, the moment I promised, in 2022, a single rare 1793 chain cent, beautifully preserved and fully authenticated, sold for $7.75 million. That sale shattered records and forever altered what collectors believe a single coin can command. If that's possible for a coin struck in 1793, what's possible for one as controversial and unrecorded as a 1968 no mint mark Lincoln cent? Time is always racing. Someone somewhere might already be preparing to submit their specimen for grading, and the first verified one will make headlines. If that ends up being yours, you'll wish you watched this video sooner. Your next step, treat every penny as if it might be priceless. Don't delay, because fortunes hide in plain sight. Imagine, you casually hand your granddaughter a handful of old pennies, and one of them turns out to be your ticket to a fortune. You'd probably drop the others in shock. What if that happens to you? Fear, excitement, urgency, that's exactly where we're headed. We begin with the mystery of how a humble small cent coin could reach such heights. Then we'll dig into how experts authenticate and value one. And finally, you'll discover how to rescue, package, and possibly monetize your own. Stay with me, because at the very end, we'll share insider steps that most sellers never hear, and a warning that could protect you from losing thousands. They say every coin has a story, but this one reads more like a thriller. Back in 1975, the U.S. Mint never officially struck a circulated Denver D. Lincoln cent, at least in any substantial quantity. Standard mintages list 0 for a 1975 D small cent. Yet over decades, a few strange anomalies have surfaced. Coins whose die, plancher, or mint-era traits point to Denver origins in 1975. Some say they were experimental. Some say test strikes. Some whisper that they bypassed records. But what's real is that one authenticated piece recently commanded a price tag approaching $835,000 in the rare coin marketplace. Pause here a beat. That number alone is jaw-dropping. Most people can't grasp spending that much on a penny. But rare coin collectors, those who live for the thrill of an extreme anomaly, see these as holy grails. If you knew a random penny in your possession could turn into nearly $1 million, wouldn't you dig through every jar, every old sock, every box in the attic right now? But let's not jump ahead. First, how did we get here? Most 1975 pennies were minted at Philadelphia, no mint mark, or San Francisco, with an S. Denver's roll for that year officially was 0. So when someone claims to possess a 1975 D cent, suspicion arises immediately. Is it altered? Is it fake? Is it a sophisticated forgery or a clever converted mint mark? The entire marketplace scrutinizes it with microscopes, chemical tests, die alignment comparisons, and provenance investigations. And that's part one of the fascination. A seemingly impossible claim creates an aura of near mystical value. No one doubts that a real 1975 D cent, authenticated, would fetch life-changing money. But most claimed examples are dismissed. The very rarity is partly derived from extreme skepticism. Now you might ask, could my 1975 penny be one of these? That's the question that haunts many collectors and hoarders alike. Here's what you must understand. First, provenance matters. Auction houses that sold the $835,000 specimen demanded rigorous proof, traces of chain of custody, high-resolution photos, die matching with known specimens, and signatures from top numismatic experts. Without that, you have nothing but a curiosity. Second, microscopic die markers. Only 1 or 2 authentic 1975 D small cents are accepted by elite numismatists. They bear minute, unique die characteristics, tiny die cracks, alignment shifts, micro variations in letters and numerals that cannot be forged by casual alteration. Experts compare them under 100-500x magnification. If yours lacks those micro traces, it's likely not the real thing. Third, grading and encapsulation. Even if your coin passes microscopic tests and provenance, to reach top market value, it must be graded and sealed by a Tier 1 third-party grading service, e.g., PCGS NGC, as authentic or higher. That protects buyers and preserves integrity. The moment your coin carries that seal, you move from hopeful to credible in the marketplace. So in exploring your shoebox of pennies, look not just for 1975D in worn lettering. Look for extraordinary sharpness, odd toning, micro-features, and provenance. Most are going to be commonplace and worthless in that million-dollar sense. But the one that isn't, that's where the unimaginable resides. Pause for a moment, breathe, let this possibility sink in. What's a few hours spent checking coins if someone you know could be sitting on that treasure? Let's shift gears. Suppose you have a coin you genuinely believe could be that rare 1975D cent. What comes next? And how do you walk through the danger zones? First, authentication and expert evaluation. You don't just send it to any coin shop down the street. You'll need to send it, possibly anonymously at first, to multiple recognized numismatic experts, people whose reputation can't be bought. Expect to pay non-refundable evaluation fees, sometimes hundreds or thousands, just to have them look at it. They'll create a dossier, high-res photographs, measurements, metal composition analysis, die matching. If even one expert rejects it, the rest of your chain is compromised. Then, casting your net for bidders. If it passes authentication, you need to sell it at a venue that can produce millionaire bidders. That means top coin auctions, major numismatic conventions, or international buyers who specialize in strange rarities. The publicity must be high. You want tokens of exclusivity. Here's where urgency and timing become your allies. You cannot list quietly for months and hope magic happens. You must stage the sale at a moment of excitement, an auction with a big catalog highlight, press coverage, and dramatic bidding wars. The more eyes, the higher the potential. But you also risk competitor fakes sliding in or sourcing arguments. Delay can kill momentum. Humor break, pattern interrupt. Imagine someone trying to pass off a 1975D cent by gluing a D stamp from another coin. That's like someone trying to pass off a $100 bill by taping an extra zero. Comical, but sadly people try. Use your magnifier. Back to business. Once a winning bid is established, you must protect the transaction. Use trusted escrow services, insurers for transit, photography documentation, and certified delivery. Do not, I repeat, do not ship alone, uninsured, or carrier's letter service. Too many dreams have died from lost or destroyed packages. Now I want to share with you something few sellers hear, the hidden markup path. Even after a hammer price of, say, $800,000, you might be able to negotiate incremental premium fees, buyer's premium, promotional placement costs, specialist premiums that push the total to more. Top auction houses often take 10–20% extra. You want transparency, but also you want to see that final total commission number because your net depends on it. Negotiating the split, keeping the world impressed, but preserving your take, that is an art. But wait, let me tease you with a cliffhanger before we wrap this up. There's one more avenue, one you probably never heard of, that some sellers used to turn a rare cent into passive royalty income for decades. And that secret could decide whether you sell once or create generational wealth. Don't blink, we'll reveal it in just a moment. Before that, let's pause and reflect on how someone like you could recognize the difference between an ordinary penny and a possible million-dollar contender. 1. Look at overall wear and toning. Many authentic specimens, due to limited circulation or test status, show unusual toning or patina, not the typical copper tone. 2. Check for die anomalies. Are there faint extra letters, doubling, micro cracks, spur lines, or odd edge features? Compare your coin under magnification with high-certainty images from auction archives. 3. Measure weight and plancher metal composition. Even a 0.5 milligram deviation could rule it out. 4. Context. Do you have provenance, grandmother's heirlooms, coin collectors in family, old coin cabinets with documented history? Those histories raise probability. If your coin checks some of those boxes, not necessarily all, it's worth submitting. Even if rejected, you've lost evaluation fees, not infinite time. Okay? Here's the secret path I promised: royalty licensing and fractional ownership. Some elite sellers of ultra-rare coins have arranged deals where instead of an outright sale, they tokenize or fractionalize the coin. They issue shares, maybe 1,000 shares of ownership, and sell them to wealthy collectors or investors. Each share entitles the holder to a portion of future profit or display revenue. The original owner still retains a portion. Or you license the right to display images in high-end publications or museums, earning royalties whenever it's exhibited or reproduced. That way, you don't lose full control, and you can reap passive income from that one 1975 cent for decades. Many collectors never consider that path because they're fixated on a single big sale. But smart wealth builders think in streams, not lumps. So if you ever get past authentication and grading, before you accept the highest bid, pause and ask, would I rather sell outright now or create a perpetual revenue asset over time? That decision could make you not just rich, but generationally wealthy. We're nearly at the end, but I want to leave you with a final emotional jolt, a call to action tinged with urgency. You can waste years sifting pennies, doubting, procrastinating. Meanwhile, someone else may find your coin. Don't let that happen. Start now. Pull every 1975 penny you own, all of them. Dust them off, get a loupe, photograph them, compare them to high-res auction images, and start submitting promising ones to experts. The difference between a wasted box of cents and a $500,000 payday could be your next weekend. And if you already believe you own a contender, don't sell prematurely. Authenticate, aim high, negotiate smart, and consider fractional or royalty paths before signing away your treasure forever. One more thing, if by some miracle your coin is authenticated as the ultra-rare 1975D and you manage to list it in a marquee auction, I want you to do me a favor. Pause. Take a deep breath. Because in that moment, your life may